There are things in life you can ignore, and there are things you must confront daily. The difference between the average and the unstoppable isn't intelligence, luck, or timing. It's what they choose to work on every single day, not just when it's convenient, not just when motivation strikes, but every day with intention, with discipline, with fire. Because life doesn't reward those who dabble. It rewards those who decide. And the most powerful decision you can ever make is to become the kind of person who never leaves your growth to chance. You craft it. You cultivate it. You build it, like a sculptor chiseling greatness from stone. So what are the non-negotiables? What must you work on, not occasionally, not when things fall apart, but every day, like breath, like water, like survival? The first is your mind. Your mind is not a storage unit, it's a garden. What you allow to grow there determines everything. The most dangerous virus isn't externalities, a weak, scattered, undisciplined thought left unchecked. Because thought becomes belief. Belief becomes behavior. And behavior? That's your life. Every day, you must pull the weeds: fear, comparison, self-doubt. You must plant new seeds: perspective, possibility, clarity. And you must water the truth that you are not your past, not your pain, not your mistakes. You are potential in motion. But potential dies in a toxic mind. So protect your mind like a fortress. Filter what enters. Be ruthless with negativity. Be selective with your inputs. You wouldn't drink poison, why let it live rent-free in your head? Work on your mindset until it becomes bulletproof, so strong, no criticism can shake it, and no praise can manipulate it. That's power. Second, you must work on your belief. Belief is the soil in which all achievement grows. Without belief, you'll sabotage every opportunity. With belief, you'll create opportunity where none existed. But belief isn't passive. It's not a feeling, it's a muscle. You build it through repetition, through small wins stacked daily, through choosing to see what's possible, even when the facts say otherwise. Every day, you must fight for your belief, because the world will try to rob you of it. Life will test it. Doubt will whisper, who are you to try? And you must answer not with explanation, but with action. Because every time you show up, every time you push past comfort, you tell your belief, you were right to bet on me. Third, work on your clarity. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. You can't live on accident and expect results that look intentional. Clarity is the compass in the storm. Without it, hustle becomes chaos. Movement becomes noise. And effort becomes exhaustion. Every day, you must reconnect to your vision. Who are you becoming? Why does it matter? What are you building that's bigger than you? Clarity gives pain purpose. It gives effort direction. And it silences the noise of distraction. When you know who you are and where you're going, the opinions of the crowd lose their grip. Don't live reactive. Live relevant. Don't drift through your days, direct them. With clarity as your guide, you stop living as a copy and start becoming an original. Fourth, work on your discipline. Discipline is the evidence that you take your future seriously. It's the daily proof that you're not living by emotion, but by intention. People confuse motivation for movement. But motivation fades. Discipline finishes. It's saying no when no one's watching. It's rising when your body screams for comfort. It's doing the hard things, the boring things, the consistent things that compound into mastery. And here's the truth. Most people know what to do, but only a few do it. Not once, not when it's convenient, daily. Discipline is how you gain respect for yourself. It's how you earn freedom. Because freedom isn't the absence of rules, it's the presence of self-governance. And the more disciplined you become, the freer you are. Fifth, work on your energy. Energy is your currency. Protect it like wealth. Audit it like your bank account. Because the energy you bring determines the results you create. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Low energy produces low results. Scattered energy produces scattered outcomes. But focused, vibrant, protected energy, that's magnetic. So every day, guard your energy like a warrior. What drains you? What fuels you? What environments shift your spirit up or pull it down? You must curate your surroundings, your inputs, your conversations, your self-talk, because all of them either multiply or murder your momentum. Make energy a priority. Eat like it matters. Move like it matters. Sleep like it matters. Speak like it matters. Because it does. Sixth, work on your gratitude. Gratitude is not soft. Gratitude is strategy. Gratitude rewires your nervous system to see abundance where others see lack. It strengthens your spirit in scarcity. It silences the voice of entitlement and awakens the voice of possibility. When you live in gratitude, life gives you more to be grateful for, not magically, but mentally, because your lens determines your landscape. And if you train your eyes to see the gift in the grind, the meaning in the mundane, the lesson in the loss, then even in pain, you remain powerful. Gratitude must be practiced daily, not as a feeling, but as a discipline, a muscle, a habit. Because if you don't work on it, the world will train you in its opposite, bitterness. And you cannot be bitter and rise. Seventh, work on your communication. Your ability to communicate defines your influence, not just with others, but with yourself. Every day you're speaking, internally, externally, through your words, your actions, your presence. And your communication either builds or breaks, leads or misleads. Are your words building bridges or burning them? Are you speaking life into your future or doubt into your destiny? Are you listening to respond or listening to understand? Work on your voice until it carries weight, until it aligns with your values, until your yes means yes and your no is respected without explanation. Speak with courage. Speak with clarity. Speak with conviction. Because when your communication becomes pure, powerful, and precise, your leadership becomes inevitable. Eighth, work on your adaptability. Rigidity is weakness dressed as strength. In a world that's shifting, the most powerful aren't those who cling, they're the ones who adjust. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the art of bending without breaking, pivoting without panic, evolving without ego. Every day, life will throw you curveballs. Plans will fail, people will shift, circumstances will change. And if you can't adapt, you will drown. But if you can stay rooted in who you are, while flexible in how you move, you become unstoppable. Because the mission never changes, only the method. And finally, ninth, work on your resilience. Resilience is the soul's refusal to stay down. It's the quiet roar of a spirit that's been hit, broken, tested, but refuses to be defeated. Resilience is built daily, not in success, but in setbacks, not in applause, but in silence, not in certainty, but in storms. You must train your nervous system to rise in discomfort, to remain calm in chaos, to stand when everything says fold, because life will knock. And when it does, you must not just recover, you must rebuild stronger. Resilience is not talent, it's a decision made every day. These 9 things, your mind, your belief, your clarity, your discipline, your energy, your gratitude, your communication, your adaptability, your resilience, these are your non-negotiables. Not goals, standards, not ideas, habits, not once a month, every single day. Because what you work on works on you. And if you give yourself to these 9 things with everything you have, you will become someone the world cannot ignore. You will become a forcenaut, a person who simply participates in life, but one who commands it. One whose presence carries the thunder of discipline and the calm of clarity. One whose walk reflects inner order and whose voice carries inner truth. One who has paid the price in silence and now collects the compound interest of alignment. Because when you commit to working on these things every day, something inside you changes permanently. You stop flinching at pressure. You stop folding under uncertainty. You stop seeking approval in the places where your purpose was never meant to be understood. You become grounded, not by what's happening around you, but by what's rooted within you. You stop chasing balance and start building rhythm. The rhythm of a life governed by principle, not impulse. A rhythm that beats in time with something deeper, something higher, something unchangeable. You live from core, not from chaos. You move from center, not from reaction. You respond with wisdom, not reactivity. Because every day, you've been training in the dark, building the kind of strength that doesn't just endure storms, it walks through them. Creating the kind of character that doesn't seek applause, it commands respect through execution. And that's the difference between those who rise and those who remain. Consistency. Every day, they choose to return. Return to the work. Return to the standards. Return to the habits that sharpen their edge and keep them awake. Because they know success is not created in moments, it's created in momentum. And momentum is not gifted, it's earned. Earned through the invisible work, the boring work, the work that no one posts about, but that builds everything. While others sleep, they grind. While others drift, they direct. While others doubt, they decide. And if you want to live that kind of life, the kind that compels destiny to take notice, then these 9 things must become more than tasks. They must become identity. You don't just practice gratitude, you are grateful. You don't just try discipline, you embody it. You don't just visit clarity, you live there. Because when the habits become who you are, success is no longer an accident. It becomes inevitable. Not because the world made it easier, but because you became greater. And from that greatness, a new kind of life is born. Not louder, but deeper. Not flashier, but fuller. Not faster, but forever. A life where peace is present even in pressure. A life where purpose speaks louder than distractions. A life where you no longer run from yourself, but toward the person you've been sculpting every day through deliberate, intentional, uncompromising growth. That's the life you've been working on. And now it begins to work for you. Not someday. Now. Because now, you are no longer a wanderer, you are a warrior. Not the kind that swings wildly at life, hoping something sticks, but the kind that moves with precision, alignment, and deliberate force. The kind of warrior who wakes up and knows the day will not define me, I will define the day. The kind who doesn't need motivation to begin, because discipline has already taken root. The kind who's not impressed by temporary wins, but obsessed with permanent character. Because you know this truth. The person you become is far more important than what you achieve. And you've chosen to become the kind of person who earns everything with integrity, with clarity, and with sweat. Not for the trophies, not for the followers, but for the freedom that only comes from living a life in full alignment with your values, your vision, and your voice. You now wake up on purpose. You now move with intent. You now speak with power. Because these 9 things, they're no longer a checklist. They're the rituals that keep your fire alive. Every day, you work your mind. You sharpen your weapon. Every day you work your belief. You strengthen your foundation. Every day you work your clarity. You illuminate your path. Every day you work your discipline. You chisel your destiny. Every day you work your energy. You expand your capacity. Every day you work your gratitude. You shift your perception. Every day you work your communication. You amplify your influence. Every day you work your adaptability. You prove your resilience. Every day you work your resilience, you demonstrate your unbreakable nature. Because life will test all 9. It will ask you, are you serious or are you still just wishing? It will ask you, do you want change or do you just want comfort? And you'll answer not with words, but with how you live. Because these are the things no one can fake. They show up in how you walk, in how you lead, in how you show up for the unseen parts of your life. And now, you live in such a way that even if no one ever congratulates you, you're still proud of you. Because you know what you're building. You know what it costs. You know what it takes. And more than that, you know who you are becoming. And the world, it won't always understand, but it will feel the shift. Because someone who works on these 9 things daily becomes impossible to ignore. They become steady, in a world of chaos, rooted in a culture of reaction, unshaken in an age of noise. And that is the kind of person who shapes futures, families, companies, nations, not through force, but through foundation. So the next time someone asks you what the secret is, you won't need to explain. You'll just keep showing up, keep leading yourself, keep building brick by brick. Because while the world waits for miracles, you work on the 9 things that make you one. You become the miracle in motion. Because what most people call a breakthrough is nothing more than a daily decision, honored long enough to transform into results. What they call magic is really mastery. What they call luck is simply the byproduct of discipline meeting opportunity. And you don't wait for breakthrough. You become the breakthrough because you've worked the roots, not just the fruits. You've built the structure, not just decorated the surface. You've prepared the vessel, not just prayed for the wave. Now, you carry yourself differently, not out of pride, but from principle. Not from ego, but from earned excellence. Not because you feel better than others, but because you refuse to be less than who you were yesterday. This journey, it never ends. There is no final destination. No mountaintop where you declare, I'm done. Because true greatness isn't a place. It's a process. And this process, these 9 things, they are the non-negotiable foundation of your process. They are the thread that weaves every day into a destiny. They are the hammer and chisel you use to carve your life into something legendary. And no one has to see it for it to be real. No one has to applaud it for it to be valid. No one has to understand it for you to own it. Because when you work on these things every day, you don't just build a career. You build character. You don't just stack wins. You stack wisdom. You don't just become successful. You become solid. And the world may not be built to reward that kind of slow, quiet, unshakable consistency. But life is. Life will open doors for the prepared. Life will reveal favor to the faithful. Life will multiply whatever you've been sowing. And you've been sowing every single day. Now it's time to harvest. So keep going. Keep working. Keep sharpening these 9. Because if you do, your life will not just change, it will transform. And so will the lives of those who watch you rise. Because the person who commits to becoming this version of themselves, they don't just create a better life. They create a better world. And that world doesn't begin out there. It begins here in the invisible spaces where your standards are set, your discipline is built, your vision is clarified. The world around you is simply a reflection of the one within you. So, if you want to build something unshakable out there, you must fortify what's inside. Every morning, every evening, every choice in between. You must keep showing up to the 9 pillars that hold your life together. Because when the storm comes, and it will come, these are what will keep you standing. Not the followers, not the fame, not the finances. Your mind, your belief, your clarity, your discipline, your energy, your gratitude, your communication, your adaptability, your resilience. These will carry you through the seasons where nothing external validates your path. But your spirit knows deeply that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Because you no longer chase success like a dog chases a car. You draw it in through identity. You attract it through alignment. You no longer wonder if it's working. You know it is because you are. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need hype to move, doesn't need results to keep going, doesn't need applause to believe. You've become your own validation, your own accountability, your own reminder that greatness is earned in private long before it's revealed in public. And in that space where no one is watching but your conscience, you've chosen excellence. Daily, quietly, relentlessly. And that kind of decision, that kind of life, it cannot be stopped. So as you walk forward from here, carry this with you. Your life is not a lottery. It is a result. And that result will always trace back to what you work on every single day. Work on your mind, and you'll renew your world. Work on your belief, and you'll reshape what's possible. Work on your clarity, and you'll move mountains with less effort. Work on your discipline, and you'll create freedom others only dream of. Work on your energy, and you'll command rooms without words. Work on your gratitude, and you'll turn pain into perspective. Work on your communication, and you'll influence with authenticity. Work on your adaptability, and you'll bend reality instead of being broken by it. Work on your resilience, and you'll become a force that rises no matter what. Because these are not just habits. They are your armor, your tools, your weapons, your legacy. So rise and work every day, no matter what, because you now know the truth. What you work on works on you, and the world will not be changed by what you know. It will be changed by what you do daily. And when your doing is aligned with your being, the extraordinary becomes inevitable, not because the road gets easier, but because you become the one who no longer needs it to be. You evolve beyond circumstances, beyond excuses, beyond validation. You step into a rare air where most never go not because they aren't capable, but because they never chose to stay long enough in the fire to let it refine them. But you stayed. You stayed through the dull days. You stayed through the uncertainty. You stayed when it wasn't working because you were. You understood that the external is slow to catch up to the internal, that the world will doubt what it cannot yet see, but that you would build in the dark until the light had no choice but to reveal you. And now you walk with a quiet certainty, a calm confidence, a relentless humility. You don't scream your success. You carry it in your posture, in your standards, in the peace that follows you like a shadow. Because when you work on the right things every day, life no longer feels like a fight. It becomes a flow. Obstacles don't derail you. They define you. Resistance doesn't break you. It builds you. And you no longer fear failure. You fear stagnation. You no longer chase speed. You chase depth. You no longer need to be seen. You've learned the power of being known first by yourself. So now, the goal is not just to achieve. It's to align, to elevate, to embody the highest version of yourself, not once, not in bursts, but as a rhythm. And that rhythm? It's made of 9 beats, 9 disciplines, 9 truths that you now carry as code. This is no longer about motivation. This is about mastery. And masters are not born. They are built daily, deliberately, without excuse, without exception. So keep building, keep rising, keep working these 9 things until they are no longer things you do, but who you are. Because at the end of it all, the wealth you build, the life you lead, the impact you leave, will all trace back to one question. What did you choose to work on every day? And your answer will echo for generations. And that echo, it won't sound like noise. It will sound like truth. Not the kind you shout from rooftops, but the kind that's felt in the silence you leave behind, in the decisions others make after watching you live yours, in the shift that happens when a person sees you and suddenly remembers their own greatness. That's the real legacy. Not just what you build, but who you become while building. Not just what you leave behind, but what you activate in others. Not just what you reach, but what you release. You see, when you commit to mastering these 9 things, you become more than a person with goals. You become a signal, a living invitation for others to rise, to take ownership, to get clear, to get real. Because every time you honor your morning when others snooze, every time you say no to comfort and yes to growth, every time you speak life instead of lack, you're not just shifting your reality. You're shifting the standard for what's possible. And that's the power few will ever understand. But you do. You've felt it in your bones. You've seen it in your results. You've witnessed it in your reflection. You've earned this strength. You've earned this peace. You've earned this edge. And now you walk with an invisible crown, not of arrogance, but of alignment, not of entitlement, but of evidence. Because day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath, you showed up. And that is the greatest victory of all. Not perfection, but persistence. Not applause, but alignment. Not overnight success, but daily mastery. So let the world rush. Let the world chase. Let the world distract itself with noise. You know better. You've chosen to go deep, not wide. To go inward, not outward. To build slow, but strong. And now, your life is not just progressing, it's compounding. Because you made a vow to protect the sacred, to master the daily, to never again abandon the work that changes everything. So carry on. Rise early. Think clearly. Speak wisely. Move deliberately. Give generously. Rest intentionally. Love fully. Lead boldly. And never stop working these 9. Because when you do, you don't just change your day. You change your destiny. And that destiny, it's not written in stars. It's written in habits. It's carved in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It's written in how you show up when nothing is guaranteed. It's built in the choices that seem small, but echoed over years, they become everything. And you've come to understand that greatness doesn't require permission. It requires precision, a precise mind, a precise focus, a precise intention to work the same fundamentals every day until they no longer feel like effort, but like breath. You breathe belief now. You breathe clarity. You breathe discipline, because these 9 things have fused into your DNA. They are no longer skills. They are your spirit. And that spirit, it cannot be duplicated. It cannot be manufactured. It cannot be faked, because it was forged. Forged in rejection. Forged in failure. Forged in the resistance most people run from. But you ran into the fire, and you came out refined. Not because you're invincible, but because you are unwilling to be ordinary. You refuse to leave this earth with your greatness still inside. You refuse to watch others live the life you know you could have had. You refuse to settle for survival in a life that was meant for so much more. So you keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Not because every day is perfect, but because every day is yours. Yours to shape, yours to lead, yours to master. And no matter how far you go, no matter what heights you reach, you'll never outgrow these 9. Because these are not beginner steps. They're not temporary tools. They are eternal truths. The truths that build legacies. The truths that create movements. The truths that ignite revolutions within. So the next time you rise with reverence for the opportunity, for the challenge, for the life that is still yours to create. And as you go, remember this. Success is not found in the intensity of a moment. It's found in the integrity of your everyday. And if you keep working on the 9 that matter most, you won't just change your life. You'll become the kind of person who changes everything. Because that's what happens when a person truly commits. They stop being a participant in their life story, and they become the author. They stop being the echo of someone else's expectations, and they become the voice that rewrites what's possible. And the moment you realize that, the moment you grasp that the compound effect of daily self-leadership is more powerful than any breakthrough moment, you stop waiting for something outside you to shift, and you start shifting everything within. You realize that mastery is not reserved for the chosen few. It's reserved for the disciplined few, the ones who show up when it's boring, the ones who do the reps no one sees. The ones who don't need to be motivated because they are anchored in mission, anchored in values, anchored in the truth that progress is not random, it's ritual. And now that truth lives in you. You walk with it. You think through it. You act from it. And while others wait for the right time, you create momentum from this time. While others hope for alignment, you choose either by hour, decision by decision, word by word. You've understood the most liberating truth of all, that there is no final level, only deeper work, only higher standards, only stronger foundations. And those foundations, they rest on the 9 you've chosen to live by. So let others chase shining. Let others ride the roller coaster of emotion and impulse. You've built something better. A core that doesn't shake when the world does. A rhythm that doesn't break when the winds shift. A power that doesn't rise and fall based on who's watching. Because your power is personal, and it was earned. And now it radiates through how you live, through how you lead, through how you work every single day. So let this be your reminder, burned into your soul. No matter how big your dreams are, no matter how far you still have to go, no matter what resistance still stands ahead, you already carry the keys. And if you keep working on these 9 things, if you honor them, if you protect them, if you live them, then there is no ceiling. There is only expansion, only embodiment, only the daily sacred rhythm of becoming someone the world can't ignore. And it all began not with a miracle, not with a moment of luck, but with a decision to show up and work on what matters most. So what does it take? It takes today, not perfection, not permission, just presence. It takes waking up and saying, I'm not waiting anymore. It takes choosing growth when comfort whispers your name. It takes honoring your habits when no one's watching. It takes silencing the noise and listening to your own voice. It takes discipline over and over until it becomes identity. It takes belief not because you've arrived, but because you refuse to stay where you are. It takes clarity in a world built to distract you. It takes energy protected, directed, sacred. It takes gratitude not when it's easy, but especially when it's not. It takes resilience, the kind that stands, rebuilds, and smiles anyway. It takes adaptability because you bend but never break. It takes communication not louder but clearer. It takes leading yourself first. It takes doing what matters most daily. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Every day. Because your future doesn't live in the distance. It lives in your next decision. And when you honor that decision with full conviction, you become unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you didn't quit. So whatever the dream is, whatever the mission, show up, lock in, build deep, stay sharp, speak life, lead yourself, and never forget, you're not waiting on change. You are the change. Now, go live like it. And when you live like it, you no longer chase greatness. You embody it, not in noise, not in flashes of hype, but in the quiet power of consistency. You speak less, but your presence says more. You do more, but need less approval. You've left behind the version of you that needed to be pushed. Now, you pull your future toward you. You own your time. You guard your energy. You honor your word. You know that success isn't a someday story. It's a daily standard. So you rise early. You train your thoughts. You keep your soul in shape. You stay humble because you've seen what ego destroys. You stay hungry because you've tasted the power of progress. You stay present because the moment is the miracle. Every day is the test, and every action is the answer. So no matter how far you go, how high you climb, how loud the world becomes, come back to the core. Come back to the 9. Come back to what matters most. Because when you work on yourself, everything else falls into place. And if they ask how you did it, don't explain. Just smile and continue.